Good morning, televiewers, and you're welcome to the very last edition of The Brief, your favorite program dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers in Cameroon. On today's edition of the program, we shall be focusing on the reports published by Human Rights indicting the Cameroon military for the killing of some civilians in Mautu village in Moyoka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. And we shall equally be talking about the 80 million francs CFA aid handed to the victims of Ngarbu massacre, which took place on the 14th of February 2020 in Ngarbu village, a locality in Donga Mountain division of the northwest region of Cameroon. Welcome to the program, televiewers. Kanten Etape is around this morning to read the headlines to you in the French language. Bonjour, Kanten.
Bonjour, Lacha Kinshili. Aujourd'hui, il faut le rappeler, c'est le 5 février 2020 et bienvenue à la revue de presse de chaque matin sur Débrief. Chers téléspectateurs, vous faites bien d'être scotché. Eh bien, la presse est abondante ce matin. L'on parle de sport, l'on parle bien évidemment de l'économie, de la diplomatie et d'autres informations encore qui écument les unes des journaux présents en kiosque ce matin. Ouvrons avec le tri hebdomadaire régional du centre, sud et d'est. Le journal Singan nous parle ce matin de la route Ntui Menkim et titre à sa grande une 200 millions pour placer China Shanji. Le journal de Marie-Robert Elundou nous fait savoir aujourd'hui que les collaborateurs du ministère des Travaux publics au sein de la commission d'analyse et d'évaluation miroitent plutôt l'arbitrage ou bien l'attribution de ce marché de plus de 65 milliards de francs CFA à une autre entreprise chinoise, China Shanji, contre cette rondelette somme. Parlant de ses collaborateurs du MINTP, il s'agit de ceux qui n'excluent pas l'option de déclarer l'appel d'offres infructueux en opposition à l'application des recommandations de Sino Hydro, précise le journal en page 3. Poursuivons avec le quotidien Mutation qui s'intéresse ce matin à la Ligue 1 et 2 et met à sa grande une la passe de Paul Biya, le président de la République, à la FECAFOOT. Le journal renseigne que le chef de l'État, à travers le Premier ministre, instruit le ministre des Sports de mettre à la disposition de la Fédération camerounaise de football les moyens financiers et les stades pour la reprise sans délai des championnats. En tout cas, je vous invite à lire les détails de cette information à la page 13 de ce journal présent en kiosque ce matin. Champ 2020, comment la mafia a noyé les lions indomptables à prime du Cameroun. C'est d'ailleurs la question que se pose le quotidien bleu le jour à sa grande une. Le journal d'Aman Mana trouve la réponse à sa question en disant que les lions à prime ont fait preuve de bravoure malgré que les championnats leur ont été privés à cause de sempiternelles querelles à la FECAFOOT. Le journal indique qu'il aurait pu mieux faire s'il n'avait été victime d'un système clientéliste. Explication à retrouver dans les pages 2 et 3 de ce journal présent en kiosque ce matin. Continuons avec le quotidien Eco-News qui, dans sa livraison de ce matin, parle de Ngaoundire et souligne le calvaire des vieillards devant les guichets des banques à sa grande une. Le journal explique dans ses colonnes que ces vieillards sont obligés d'affronter les intempéries et parfois user de la corruption pour toucher la maigre pension retraite. Terminons ce matin avec le quotidien à capitaux gouvernemental Cameroun Tribune qui s'intéresse à l'élection de l'Union africaine et titre le Nigeria cherche du soutien, reçu hier au palais de l'Unité par le président Paul Biya. L'ambassadeur nigérian Joseph Kishi vient soumettre ainsi la doléance de son président président, son Excellence Buhari, qui compte aller aux élections de cette Union africaine pour occuper le poste de commissaire des affaires politiques, paix et sécurité de l'Union africaine. Des informations que vous retrouverez certainement dans les colonnes de ce journal présent en kiosque ce matin. Mesdames et messieurs, fin et stop pour la revue des tabloïds en français. Place actuellement avec toi, Lacha Kinsili, pour la découverte de ces unes en anglais.
Merci beaucoup, Etape Kanteng. This morning we're going to kickstart with the newspaper of Christian. We are talking about the Lone English Daily, the Guardian Post, which of course took interest in the report published by Human Rights Watch yesterday, the report which indicts the Cameroon military to have committed or to have killed some civilians in Mautu village, that's in Moyoka subdivision of the southwest region of the country. The Human Rights Report also reviewed that over 1,500 Cameroonians have lost their lives in different violent events or attacks across the national territory within the time period or within 1 year. We move on to talk about the assistance given by the government of Cameroon to the victims of Ngabu massacre. The paper writes that as massacre nears 1 year, government rushes to Ngabu with over 80 million francs CFA financial package, but ignores most promises made after military implication in the massacre. We continue to talk about the issue, and the 80 million francs CFA, according to the paper, the 80 million francs presidential corporate assistance to the survivor was handed to the victims by Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique on the 3rd of February 2021, and the money, according to the paper, will be given to the victim to construct their homes, revamp their farms, and other lost property in the incident. And the Guardian Post also talked about this other headline about the Minister of Finance of Cameroon, who has declared readiness to settle internal debts owed Cameroonians by the Minister of Finance of Cameroon. Louis-Paul Moutaze, who is heading that ministerial department, made the revelation recently that his ministerial department is ready to settle internal debts in Cameroon. And on to Emergence newspaper. Emergence also took interest in the Human Rights Watch report, which says that over 1,500 deaths recorded in violence within a year in Cameroon. And also in the Emergence newspaper, over 200 persons have been arrested in connection to stealing electricity in Cameroon. And exploitation or illegal exploitation of Cameroon's forest. According to the paper, Cameroon is losing over 33 billion francs every year to illegal exploitation of its forests. You can get details of that story on page 6 of this edition of Emergence newspaper. We end with the Post Weekender. The Post Weekender that revisits the strike action staged by ex-Amber Boys. The paper, according to the paper, ex-Amber Boys riots after months of staged managed happiness. According to the paper, the ex-combatants have been pretending that they are happy. Meanwhile, they were not happy. They could not hold on their grievances. They decided to take to the streets to protest against the delay by the government of Cameroon to reintegrate them into civilian life. And Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diangute recently disbursed over 4 million francs CFA, 3 million which was shared amongst the first set of ex-combatants who will be reintegrated into the society, 70 of them, and 1 million was handed over to the Buea DDR Center. That's the president or the director of Buea DDR Center for the production of national identity cards for the first set. Favored Bolleri Company Limited. We are back in the studio to proceed with the discussions. And unfortunately, this morning, because of technical issue, we cannot have our guest who was supposed to be joining us from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Meantime, we stay in the studio and we continue with the discussion. Tapé Kanté.
Oui, Monsieur Lacha, nous sommes à la fin presque à la fin de cette revue de presse, mais avant de finir, il y a quelques informations à décrypter. Et ce matin, j'ai envie de vous poser la question, qu'est-ce qui sera fait à travers cette instruction du chef du président de la République qui demande au Premier ministre de demander au ministre des Sports de mettre à la disposition de la FECAFOOT des fonds alloués pour l'organisation du championnat. Qu'est-ce qui va désormais changer?
It is a tough question, Kanten, and equally, Cameroon football is facing a lot of challenges as we speak now for so many years. You quite remember we've had two normalization commission or committee that was put in place to ensure that the management of football in Cameroon see the day of light. But unfortunately, as we speak now, things are not still going on the right way. It should be recalled that for a very long time we've not had the local league due to so one problem or the other as a result of management of funds, as we all know. General Pierre Semengi, his own camp, and Sedum Bombonjoya, and recently the Court of Arbitration for Sports handed a verdict that was supposed to, supposed to annul or cancel the process that saw the election of the executive, the actual or the present executive of FECAFOOT, now led by Sedum Bombonjoya. And FIFA too has equally spoken. And we've seen the Minister of Territorial Administration of Cameroon, and now the President of the Republic is coming in, instructing Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute to disburse some funds and as well as some material dispositions for the local championship to go on. We can only hope and pray that things should come back to normal, as we all know that it is a complex equation to solve, Kante. A complex equation.
Et comment appréciez-vous le geste du chef de l'État?
Well, football is supposed to be apolitical. It is supposed, I keep saying suppose. I'm choosing my words very well. It is supposed to be apolitical, but when you look at what is happening in Cameroon, you might be tempted to say that football is politics in Cameroon, and many people are using, because of the huge sums of money that football brings, many people want to manage that money, and for that reason, sometimes the government is interfering a lot in the affairs of football management in Cameroon.
Mais il faut quand même dire que l'État a le pouvoir d'apporter son soutien dans l'objectif de donner vie à la fédération du sport.
It's normal, but not dictating what is supposed to happen when it comes to management of football in the country. Okay, Kante, let us also revisit this other headline. Talking about Human Rights Watch report indicting the military for atrocities committed in Mautu village. Mautu village is in Moyoka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. Human Rights Watch published its findings yesterday, indicting the Cameroonian military. What do you have to say? Each time Human Rights comes up with report, we always have the military being indicted. Do you think this organization has, or the accusations that are sometimes levied on this organization by Territorial Administration Minister is being proven to be right now?
Écoutez, une organisation de telle envergure est concentrée dans la recherche de la solution de la situation dans laquelle nous sommes Ce n'est pas moi qui vais le dire maintenant, tout le monde le sait. Nous sommes dans une situation depuis un peu de temps, un bon bout de temps, qui est précaire en termes de sécurité. Mais moi, je pense que l'intervention ou bien la présence de Human Rights Watch dans cette affaire apporterait, n'est-ce pas, une sorte d'éclairage pour pouvoir éliminer l'obscurité.
Most of the information are given to Human Rights Watch by both the separatists and NGOs that are operating in Cameroon. We have other NGOs. If you read through the report published by Monde Avenir, that's a Stand Up for Cameroon, which of course has Monde Avenir as part of that organization, you discover that it's not very much different with the report published by Human Rights Watch. Stand Up for Cameroon talked of 1,579 deaths recorded, and Human Rights Watch is talking about 1,500. So the disparity is not that much. Don't you think these are the organizations giving the report to Human Rights Watch? And most of these organizations, their goal is to see that the government of President Paul Biya is kicked out of, is brought down because of what the term poor management of state, and Cameroon is suffering as a result of the poor management of the regime in place, the way they have been managing the country.
Non mais écoutez, je crois que Human Rights Watch, ces organisations non gouvernementales qui sont spécialisées notamment dans la protection des droits de l'homme, lorsque une information vient d'eux, je crois que cette information mérite une sorte de crédibilité.
Yes.
Une sorte de crédibilité parce que ce sont des personnes spécialisées en la matière. Avant de donner une information, ils savent sur quoi ils se basent. Ils ont d'abord mené une enquête profonde, des investigations.
Yes, and still this same Human Watch, the Ngambo incident we are talking about today, all of us, we've seen the President of the Republic taking action, and finally the military of Cameroon has been indicted. And we know that Human Rights Watch is the organization that was behind the first finding that revealed the military actually committed the atrocity in Ngarbo. Don't you think to a certain extent Human Rights Watch could be credited for what they are doing in Cameroon, because it calls the regime attention to some of the atrocity perpetrated by some members of the defense and security forces, which is not their mission. Some people say it's not their mission. That's not what they were asked to go and do.
Ce n'est pas leur mission, justement. Leur mission, c'est de protéger les civils, c'est de protéger les citoyens camerounais. Mais si
those are the graves of the Ngarbo, victims. Yesterday, Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique of the northwest region of Cameroon was there to hand over the money that was disbursed by President Paul Biya, 80 million francs CFA, and we told that each of the beneficiaries got 5 million francs CFA, and they were equally giving some basic necessities, as you can see. They transporting it, and the graves were renovated, or let me put it that way. And many people are equally complaining that the promise made by President Paul Biya to exhume the corpses and give them a national burial was not done. Why would they go ahead to beautify the graves when they have not exhumed those corpses?
Yes, that is why I am saying that le Cameroun devrait être content lorsque les militaires, les militaires qui sont supposés les protéger leurs civils, font réellement le travail. Mais maintenant, la question épineuse qui se pose, est-ce que ces militaires ont le courage d'assumer le contraire de leur mission? Moi, je pense pas.
Certain. There are some that when they go to the field, they execute a different instruction which comes from Yaoundé, or different instructions coming from Yaoundé. Those are the type you call in French brebis galeuses.
Les brebis galeuses.
Yes, something like that. Probably
Mais
those are the kind of...
qu'est-ce qu'il faut donc faire pour ces brebis galeuses? Parce que il me porte à croire que dans...
But we keep seeing this
dans
thing
tous ces
happening. It's not just Gabo. We've seen other areas, even in the southwest region of Cameroon, where these people, they get into school and then they attack, kill children.
Oui, c'est la réalité, mais est-ce que on doit...
But is that their mission? Is
on-
it really what they are supposed to be doing in this region to protect the territorial integrity of
Non, mais je ne
Cameroon?
pense pas. Si s'avère que cela est vrai, je pense pas que c'est une mission, c'est la mission qui leur a été confiée par le gouvernement camerounais. Il faut rappeler d'ailleurs que leur mission est centralisée sur la protection des civils. Mais maintenant, j'ai envie de marquer un pas en arrière, hein, pour essayer de voir clair dans cette histoire, dans cette affaire, parce que il y a un peu du flou là-dedans. On n'arrive pas à cerner qui est l'acteur des crimes ou qui n'est
No, it was
qui n'est
already
pas.
established, and the process is ongoing at the military tribunal in Yaoundé, headed by senior counsel Barrister Tanfu, who is also a team, a cream of lawyers who are following up the Mugabu incident, and he has been one of the panelists on this program. He's been giving us update as to how far the case is ongoing. The first hearing was a few months back. I think in the early, I think in January.
Mais je ne vois pas le mal, hein. Je ne vois pas comment est-ce que une organisation non gouvernementale qui lutte aussi pour la protection des droits de l'homme se permettrait, n'est-ce pas, à donner aussi un bilan frauduleux ou bien un bilan
Mais
faux.
certains disent, comme le ministre de l'administration
comprends
territoriale, qu'ils ont un agenda caché pour déstabiliser le Cameroun. Oui.
Mais
Il y a certains pays qui veulent utiliser cette ONG-là pour déstabiliser le Cameroun.
c'est dommage quand même, hein, c'est dommage. Parce que ça nous amène là à beaucoup d'inquiétudes. À qui doit-on faire confiance en termes d'informations, en termes de bilan qu'on peut faire sur des incidents pareils? À qui pouvons-nous donc faire confiance?
Okay, Etape Kantin, thank you very much. We have gradually come to the end of the program. Televiewer, this is how we could do it today for you, the very last edition of the week. Notwithstanding, man creates machine, and machine at times disappoint man. So we could not get to our guest who was supposed to join us from Yaoundé. Notwithstanding, a great and beautiful package will be put at your disposal next week as we come back in the program for what the papers must have said. Kantin.
Mesdames et messieurs, vraiment c'était un grand plaisir pour nous. Nous sommes avec un cœur enflammé de joie de vous avoir servi. En tout cas, on se donne rendez-vous peut-être, si Dieu le veut, la semaine prochaine, lundi, et rester en compagnie des programmes de MyMedia Prime TV, la chaîne leader, l'étoile montante.
Production this morning was coordinated by Christian Tebon, and for presentation, of course, we've been Etape Kantin and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Bye bye. Next week.